welcome back to my channel. Before I get started, make sure you like, you comment, and you press that subscribe button so you guys won't miss a video. So this video that I'm going to do today is going to be about EdTPA. Like I expressed to you guys in my last video, I just did the EdTPA process spring 2017. So now I want to be able to share my experience to you guys. EdTPA is roughly new. It's been out for about, I think, 2 years now. EdTPA basically is a national state exam, just basically to test your performance, your assessment. In addition, it's basically to measure your readiness to teach. My EdTPA, I did special education. So special education EdTPA is very different for someone who is doing the EdTPA for general education. I think in regards to scoring the exam for special ed, the passing score in the state of New York City is a 41. If you get anything above a 41, which is like a 49 and above is mastery. I'm not sure what the scoring is for general ed. I think it's like maybe a 50, around that area, but I'm only gonna be talking from my experience because I just took it. So hopefully you guys who have questions, that you guys find these videos very beneficial. Now with these videos for the EdTPA, I am going to break them down because I don't want to overload one video on the whole EdTPA, because it's an exam that really needs to be broken down into different areas so you can understand the exam has a whole, and then once you understand it has a whole, then you can start to understand, okay, this is what I have to do in order to get a passing grade. So for my EdTPA, it will be different from others. I'm just going to talk about how I started it in my program and what I found that was helpful for me. So let's begin. My EdTPA experience was very stressful. I was working full-time and being a student part-time, but even I felt like it was full-time to me. With my program, we knew I started school in August the 25th or around that time. The way my program is set up for our EdTPA, we was working with a child. We have Learning Lab. And Learning Lab is where we have students outside in the community who come to our school to get like tutoring. And these were kids who were identified as having a disability. So they would come to our school and do tutoring like twice out of the week. We would do tutoring with them twice out of the week from 4:15 to 5:30. Now during this time, the beginning of the school year, when I met my student, I had to start doing assessments with her. I had to do qualitative reading inventory, which is like an assessment to see where is her reading, what is she currently doing, and try to see where are those gaps that she's having issues with that I can kind of fill in and give her that support that she needed. So I started off with assessments. I did math and all of these things that my school had us do so we can get to know our student, what are their interests, what are some things they like. Once I did my assessments, I went over the student's overall IEP. And at this time, when you have a student's IEP, you also have to be mindful that the IEP is sometimes old. It hasn't been looked at because you do get an annual every 3 years where it's kind of like updated currently to like what she was doing. So the IEP that I had was like a 4th grade IEP. in between like a fourth grade IEP and the student that I was working with at the time, she was a sixth grader. So it was like a report, her annual report before she actually started middle school, that I was able to kind of like put pieces together just to see where she was. So after I collected all my assessments on this particular student that I was working with, my student had an area of need, which was reading comprehension. My student at the time was reading on a fourth grade level, and she was in sixth grade. Now, 9 times out of 10, a lot of kids that you're going to meet, some of their reading levels vary. Some are going to be low, some of them are going to be on grade level. So immediately I targeted that, because my thinking is like, oh my God, yes, she's reading on a fourth grade level, but she's in sixth grade. And can you imagine, like, oh my God, she's in sixth grade and you're getting a lot of information. You're reading a lot of text. You're reading a lot of articles online. Can you like imagine, as a student, all these articles are coming to you, and you not being able to understand what you're reading because it's so much text in one sitting. So immediately I wanted to target that. And I think once you know where that area of need is that your particular student has, that's what you need to start with. So immediately I had already knew for my EdTPA, what am I doing? I'm doing ELA. I'm doing reading comprehension, because I know this is what she needs, and I know that my EdTPA, I have a lot of resources that I can back that up and say, this is why I did this with her, because I did my data line, my assessment, my data. I can prove to you why I did this, and why this is why my EdTPA brought me to this, that I wanted to be more intrigued to do this with my student. So when I did my EdTPA, the student that I was tutoring, I did my EdTPA based on her. We had to tutor for our teaching program, for Learning Lab. We had to tutor for a whole year. When I mean like a whole year. We had to make lesson plans. We had to make lesson plans. We had to turn them in for our college with a log, because sometimes our students didn't show up. So we would have to observe another one of our colleagues and watch them and do a log. And we had to make lessons for them. On top of that, we had to do another additional lesson for our EdTPA. We had to of course, after our tutoring sessions, we did do like our seminar classes where we sat and we discussed like our thoughts, our frustrations, like, how we can best help support our students. My class for EdTPA, it was broken into, we had different professors. So our classes was really small, no more than 12 people. And it was actually nice like that, because everybody, it was, tight. It was like a family. Like everybody was going through the whole like emotions and highs and lows of EdTPA, and we were just able to talk to one another and be a helping hand and like share with each other, because you also got to understand, you're not the only one going through those ups and downs. Other people too. But what I can tell you is, if you are in a program and you're lucky to have a program where you get to tutor and use that same kid to do your EdTPA, you're lucky, because the stories that I've heard were people who are in teaching fellows and Teach for America, they don't get no support. So it's like when they come to our workshop at my school and they're like, oh my God, can I get your number? They don't have that support. They're kind of like just rushed into it. And this is like, hey, this is what you got to do to meet your certification. So I try to help as much as I can, give as much information, because, hey, we're teachers. We got to help one another. Hey, I have some resources here. I'm going to share it with you. This is what I use. Blase, blase. And just help one another. So for my EdTPA, I did ELA. Going to go into how I started it. So I knew definitely ELA is going to be EdTPA. So I did my assessments and whatever, and I kind of when it got to December, so that December, sorry, December of Christmas, we received a packet because we knew that that following semester, that spring, come back the end of January, we were getting started on our EdTPA. So before going on our winter break, we were given a packet. All the packets that I have, I am going to link it down below. If you are in the state of New York City and anywhere just in general, they have the information online on the EdTPA, but if you want to access it more quicker, I have all the links down below. So before getting started, my professor gave us like 2 handbooks plus other information that we had to read for class. So one of the handbooks was this, the EdTPA assessment, special education one. Like I said, mine was special ed, not general ed. So we had to read all of this thoroughly. So I had to read it like 2 times. On top of that, we had a quiz. So my professor was like quizzing us to make sure like, okay, you read it twice. Have you understood what you read? This is what you need to do in order to complete your EdTPA. We were also given this. Sorry guys, it is in a little organizer. I am an organizing fiend. So we was also given the Making Good Choices in Special Education, which was another support guide for EdTPA candidates. So these 2 books hand in hand. I would say before starting your EdTPA, thoroughly read through it, see what you need to do for each of the components for your EdTPA. It is broken down in a way that you can understand what you need to do for each section. So the first section is planning for instruction and assessment, which is basically like, how are you going to plan your lesson? What are you going to be assessing the student on? Then task 2 is instructing and engaging the focused learner. Task 3 is assessing and learning. And that's it. So I'm going to do more videos and to break them down part by part for you. But I can definitely say it was a lot and it was stressful, especially if you're on a time limit. Now, we had to submit our EdTPA by maybe they wanted us to submit our EdTPAs after spring break. I'm not sure like what date that was for here in New York City, but they wanted us to submit our EdTPAs by, let's say, by April 7th, because spring recess was like April 10th. So they wanted us to submit it around that time. Of course, there was a lot of students in my program. Some did submit it that time, some did it. But by the grace of God, there was a extension on, I think, the safety net for EdTPA. Like the date was like kind of extended, so we didn't have to rush and submit our EdTPA that designated time that they wanted us to submit it. So that was the great part about that. Me personally, I feel like if your program is pushing you to finish your exam by a certain date, I mean, if we didn't have that extension, like thank God, but you know, some might not have that extension. My thing is like, listen, if you have to not go out and do like, you know, stuff that you would normally do in your day-to-day life, like going out with your friends, partying, whatever that may do. If you got to cut all of that out, cut it out. I felt like I had no life, and I felt like I had to do that in order for me to like work on this exam and get the score that I got. When I mean I did not go anywhere, I was breathing, sleeping, waking up, EdTPA. I mean, let's be for real. For $300, you don't want to have to submit it or do another part or take something else to substitute for EdTPA. You don't want to have to do that. You are spending $300. Okay, $300. I'm gonna stay in my house, do what I gotta do. I'm gonna get it done. Whether I have to go to my school library, go sit down, even do a paragraph for each one and get back to it. But I would say if you gotta cut out certain things to get this done, hey, get this done for that $300. Okay, for that $300, I'm going to get it done. So that's something that I had to do personally. Like I had to drop everything, and I'm like, listen here, I'm focused on this. Yeah, I had work at the time, but I was just like, yeah, all right, I took care of the kids. You know, we had fun, whatever, whatever. But see, when 3 o'clock hit, bye. I was gone. I had to go tutor. On top of that, when I was doing my EdTPA, side note, I was doing a reading rescue program in the morning at the school that I was currently working, where I had to wake up 5:25 in the morning, wake up. Now I'm coming from Brooklyn and I have to travel to Manhattan. For me to get to work was like basically an hour and a half because I commute and I take the bus. I take the bus to the train, and I had to tutor a little girl every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock to 8:30. On top of that, I work till 3. Then, after I leave work, I have to go and tutor. But thank God the school that I was at was not far from my school. So I literally had to walk like 6 blocks. But I had to go and tutor from 4:30, from 4:15 to 5:30, excuse me, and then have seminar class right after. Go home, work on my EdTPA, and then do the same thing back again in the morning. Go tutor the little girl that I was tutoring, which was a first grader in reading. So imagine me having to do all of that and plus my EdTPA. I just feel like if you're gonna do it, like really focus heavily on it. I don't know how much I can stress that. Really, really take the time to focus. Don't let your program rush you into submitting it by this date. Just because your friends are submitting it by this date and you feel like, hey, I want to submit it. No, take the time that you needed. So with me, I did not submit when my other classes submitted. Some of them were able to submit the time that my university wanted them to submit. Others, we submitted 2 weeks after. So that week that everybody was supposedly to submit it in by April 7th, I did not submit mine until about April the 20th is when I submitted my EdTPA. And it was like a couple of us who submitted that same night. So me and my class, we were like, I was joking around with them, and we were going to all submit together, all 12 of us together. But like I said, things didn't work out because, you know, everybody was doing their EdTPA on different things. Some were doing it on reading, some were doing it on math. Like it's your game on what you want to do it on based on that particular student that they had for their learning lab. So they were doing different things. But I submitted mine 2 weeks after that. And honestly speaking, I'm so happy that I did it that way. I didn't let nobody rush me. I didn't let my professor rush me because I told her straight up, no, I'm not ready to submit mine. I said, I don't want to rush it. And my professor was very understanding, and she was like, you know, Shantae, if you need to take the time, take that time. She's like, I'd rather you take the time, make sure it's perfection for you, and then when you feel confident, you submit it. And yes, it is nerve-wracking when you have to submit it and you see a lot of uploads, and if you go on that website, it's just like you're scared, like, oh my God, where do I put the stuff? Where do I submit? It's nerve-wracking. It's very nerve-wracking. And you know, to have that support that I had and my classmates and, you know, us all doing it together, it was like a rewarding feeling. And then honestly, it didn't really take that long to get the grading back, because once you submit it, you go on the website, they tell you, you know, basically if you submit it by this day, you will have your scores to you by this day. So When I got my score back, I received a 49 on my exam. And for the special ed, the passing score is a 41. So I received a 49, which is a mastery. So I passed it with mastery by the grace of God. And like I said, if it wasn't for my professors and, even the parents for bringing the student that I had, to do all these things with, and just like having that teacher support, that student support that I had with my colleagues, like we all passed the EdTPA successfully. Hunter College is very well known for our students passing the exam, and we get mastery and above. So the professors are really great. They're very knowledgeable. When I was talking to my professor, they did like a lot of workshops, and when they first got it, they also had to learn the information so quick because this was a new state exam. You being, the professor, the part of, Hunter College as one of the boards, they have to learn stuff very quick. So when they got it, it's like, oh my God, they have to teach them, and then they're also teaching themselves. But then it's like everything all worked out because it was a great success rate. But like I said, I don't want to give too much into the EdTPA for this video, but I will be doing 3 more videos going into EdTPA, showing you my experience, what I did. I also want to show you guys, if you guys don't notice, I have my folder. So not a folder, Lord, my binder. So this was my binder that I used for my EdTPA. As you can see, it's very filled. I have tabs, everything. So I'm going to be doing videos basically breaking down my work that I did to show you guys more in depth of what I did, so you guys can get an overview of what is required for the EdTPA. If you guys have any questions, any comments or concerns, or if it's like any more information that you guys would like to know about the EdTPA, please leave it down below. I'm here to help as much as I can. I'm all about helping other teachers, making sure that, we have a wonderful teacher community, and we're just here to help each other and just share knowledge. If you are a new teacher starting a new YouTube channel, put your channel down below. Like, we all have to support each other. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Any other new teachers, add your link down below, because hey, this is a big teaching community, and it's all about teaching one and reaching one. So if you teach me something, I'm learning something every day, I could reach my kids a different way, or I could reach somebody else a different kind of way. So thank you guys for watching my video. Until the next one, guys, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Later, guys.